Welcome to episode 9 of On the Shelf. Today we have a fantastic McFlyical, and I just made that word up, guest, Kibla Ahmed. Kibs, how are we doing today?
I'm really good, really good. It's hot in the UK at the moment. I'm in London. Wow, it's bacon.
Bacon. That's a terrible thing to hear. But while we are on the topic of where you are and apparently how sweltering and warm you are, let's talk a little bit more about yourself. Tell the audience, Kibs, who you are.
Well, I am a comic book artist that works in customer service. Born and raised in the UK, London. My dad was born here, and my granddad came here just after the Second World War, while he was imposed in Burma. So, after the Second World War, the UK was in a bit of a trouble when it came to rebuilding the country, and the Queen had invited a handful of soldiers that served on that side of the world to come over here and start living over here. So, and yeah, that's it. Ever since then, I've been on this kind of pop culture journey.
Okay.
And it's been absolutely amazing so far, and it's taken me places and seen things that I just would never have expected in a lifetime to have gone through, or just a little kid from like North London to be able to do some of the amazing things that have happened so far.
Yeah, we actually met through my jewelry company, Cape Justice, and through a mutual friend, Luke Bug, the Geek of Steel. Because if you don't say the whole thing, then I think that I actually have to pay. I think Luke has to. I think I actually get charged like £2 every time I don't give the full title for Luke Bug, the Geek of Steel. I've seen your work. I've always loved your work. And when you reached out to me to tell me that you wanted to come on the show, I've known for a long time, especially through your Instagram page, that you have a crap ton of stuff. Not just one like genre, but like you're across the board. So when we discussed, where we were gonna bring this show, it seemed like a no-brainer to you that you were like, Back to the Future. That's where we're headed today.
Yeah, that Back to the Future. It started everything off. I mean, my uncle is a comic book artist, so comic books came to me at a very young age, and I've still got the first comic book he gave to me, which was Man of Steel, 1992, I think it was that it came out.
What,
the John Barnes version?
That was 88.
88. Okay, cool. So that was my first comic book that he gave to me.
Okay.
But then after that, before that, Back to the Future, I don't know, it just resonated with me. Time travel, the DeLorean, and Marty's adventure through time. Yeah, it was just, I don't know, something spectacular really caught something inside my imagination when I first saw that DeLorean come out in Twin Pines Mall and Doc Brown introducing the time machine. It's been stuck with me ever since.
So, because now, Back to the Future came out in 1985, and I'm a smidge older than you, but even I didn't see it in the theaters. So how did you get introduced to Back to the Future? Like was it like you sitting down watching television with the folks? Like, look at that, man's got it ready to go. Was that the original copy? Was that the one you had? Was that your original copy?
That's the original copy that my dad got.
Awesome.
And then I've taken it off him to make it part of my collection.
You stole it from him. It's okay.
Yeah, it had to be done. But yeah, it was this. It was on tape. It was on tape. I mean, I've seen it in cinema and later on, but this was the one that. This is the one that it doesn't work anymore, but it's there in the collection.
Doesn't have to work, right? Listen, bro. Sometimes having collections doesn't mean that all the pieces are fully functional or even all there. It just means that it's part of your collection, and that to me, we haven't even started in the show and tell yet, and that to me is probably one of your prized possessions.
It is. It is. I'll hold it dearly. I mean, I remember my dad is a big fan of pop culture as well. He's a big fan of spaghetti westerns. So. Yeah. Clint Eastwood, Sergio Leone, he loved those movies, and he showed me what you're capable of with your imagination through, movies and music, and he really opened up my mind when it came to the creative world.
That's awesome.
Definitely.
That's great, man. And I love the wall of Funko Pops and Back to the Future merchandise that we currently have behind you. Hopefully, when we go into post-production in this, and it's now showing on YouTube, we can even get that much of it which is probably where it's going to be. But that's great because I love the stuff. And now, so people at home can see what's going on, even behind you. Let's talk about the stuff that you want to show us today.
Yes, of course. What do I start off with first?
The beginning.
So the beginning. Okay, here we go. I'm going to start off with this piece, which it's not really anything collectible. It was my chance when I first met Michael J. Fox.
Okay.
Now, the story behind this is 2015. It was a Comic-Con in London. It was a 30th anniversary, and they had the whole cast in the UK.
Which con was that, Kib?
It's called London Film and Comic-Con. It's done by Showmasters. They do two actually every year. They did jump to 3. This year, it's quite different. Yeah, with what happened. But this piece here, yeah. So the story behind this was that I could never buy the tickets online because the moment they announced it, the website had crashed.
Right.
And then you saw it on eBay for £2,000. So I was like, you know what? I'm not going to get the chance to meet Mr. Michael J. Fox. And I've always had it in my head that one day I'm going to meet the cast and just want to thank them for what they brought to me in my childhood and even my adulthood as well. And I kind of gave up. I kept on looking online for tickets. And then finally, I woke up one day, it was 2 weeks before the show, and a friend who worked in a publication called me up and said, listen, you're the only person that I know that loves Back to the Future. How would you like to meet Michael J. Fox and the cast? And I almost cried.
And then you said, no, thank you, I'm good. Right.
Well, my first response was, I don't know who you are. He kind of called me and told me about meeting Michael J. Fox. He's actually a friend of a friend of a friend who just saw my fandom on Facebook and said, I got in contact with your friend and got your number and thought, let me introduce myself because I'm a Back to the Future fan and I can't think of anybody else who loves the fandom as much as you.
Right.
And so got to go to the Comic-Con, got to meet the cast, and then you know how cons are. When it comes to somebody with that sort of stature, the place was heaving and it was packed. I remember it was a summer's hot day as well, so it was just around this time as well. So it was very it was almost just like an oven with a whole load of food ready to be just overcooked.
Yeah.
It was very packed. But then it's something that kept on repeating in my head was, if you put your mind to it, anything is impossible. Like nothing's impossible. Correct. And because I had that vision in my head that one day I'll get to meet these guys.
What was that?
It's weird how the universe works, and that moment happened. But before the picture and before I met Michael J. Fox, while him and his security were trying to heave through all of these people, everybody was calling him Mighty, Mighty, Mighty. And I was the only person out of everybody that said, what's happening, Mike? How you doing? And he patted me on the shoulder and said, I'm doing fine. And then when I met him again at the car to take the photo and get his autograph, I was just over the moon, to be honest. Like, he is, I think in the 80s and 90s, he had such a presence in the work that he did. And then, you know, what he went through with Parkinson's and hearing his battle, it was inspiring to see how hard he still pushes through to this day.
Absolutely.
It's amazing.
The guy's a trooper. Yeah. The guy's, you don't ever hear anything bad about him in the media.
No.
He's got an awesome wife who, ride or die. And he's been such a force for good, and that he kept that sense of humor. He's kept that sense of humor. At least from what we could see, this entire time.
Of course. Of course. And like, even when that time I got to see him and meet him and had my brief moment, because I had a piece of artwork that I did of him and Doc Brown for the 30th anniversary, which I kind of gave to them as gifts. And he was so humble, and I know what it's like at cons when you meet like 5,000 people and everybody wants to get their moment and the rest of it. And he was so good. Like, he was just amazing. And he didn't complain or didn't go off. He didn't take breaks. And I'm like, this guy has sat here for 8 hours, I think, and heard everybody's story, given everybody hugs. And I was like, dude, like, you absolutely when you meet somebody that you have that much love for, and kind of like see a role model in doing what he was doing there, because I've met people that I've said, oh no, that didn't really turn out really well the way I thought it would have. But I understand in those conditions.
Yeah.
But yeah, he blew it out of the park. Like the amount of love he showed, I've got so much respect for Michael J. Fox. It's unbelievable. So
that's awesome.
I had the pleasure, and that was absolutely epic for me.
Yeah, man, that's great. It's always good when you can meet your heroes, like your our heroes, as I should say, because they're not baseball players or sports figures or anything, because no one should be really looking up to most of them anyway. But it's. I mean, listen. I won't even get into. I'll put my soapbox away for a second for that one, but it's like you guys like that, and I mean, I've met Henry Winkler before at shows, and Henry Cavill, since we're just going to keep talking about Henrys, and they were all nice as hell, like great people. So it's always great when you get those people who are like, you know what, I met him and he was not a jerk, or her, and they weren't, whatever.
Yeah, no, definitely. So then got to meet Biff Tannen, Tom Wilson, Christopher. Photos which are in storage at the moment, so I couldn't get them out enough to share. But I've got pictures, so I will send you those in the email. But my next piece was, I didn't get to meet Robert Zemeckis or Bob Gale at the time because it was just completely manic, and they come to the UK a lot. And then last year towards the end of last year, they started doing the musical for Back to the Future. Before, and was hoping that I'd get to catch the show, but didn't catch the show because of the pandemic we're in at the moment. So he was at a Comic-Con promoting the musical. So I got to meet Bob Gale, the producer and writer. So I will cherish these for eternity. So I got my issue 1 Back to the Future signed by Bob Gale, and my Funko Pop of Marty McFly. And again, a great dude to actually really geek out about the movie. Bob Gale has such a great sense of humor as well, because I know how hard it must have been for them when they were pitching this idea to the studios, because it got rejected like 40 times before anybody took this movie on. And I was telling him like how hard it is as an artist to get your work out there, to push it as well, and what was driving them to believe in the script that they wrote. And he was just like, I just wanted to see where it would go, and not knowing that lightning was going to strike, and it would turn into this massive pop culture god, if you like, in a sense, where because of the fandom of it. Yeah. He just goes, we just kept pushing. We wanted to push the boundaries to see if we could get this movie made. I mean, the original script, which recently has been expanded on, and on the 35th anniversary, there's going to be loads more things coming up, which I'm going to not spoil it for everybody, but I'm going to let you guys find out as it comes out. But, they didn't even have a DeLorean in the script originally. They had a fridge in mind. Yep. So that would have been a very different movie on how they would have done that. But we did get to see a snippet of that in Indiana Jones #4. Yeah, so Steven Spielberg must have loved that part of the script. Was like, you know what, guys? I'm going to take that.
Bring the fridge.
I'm going to put that in my movie.
I'll take it. I got it. That one's on me.
So so those two pieces are another part. And then I'm going to move this out a little bit so you guys get to see it. Okay. Hopefully it doesn't drop. But could you guys see the poster?
Yeah, we can see it.
So you can see it. Okay, so
now we can.
I've been collecting Back to the Future memorabilia for Lord knows now, plus 20 years now, and I've got a massive collection. And a lot of the stuff is in storage because after having baby, we had to move into a bigger place, and I've had to put things in storage. So yes, I have a pair of Nike mags which I couldn't bring. Yeah,
those are hot. I love those things. Those things are awesome.
That is the one that broke the bank, but I recuperated after that one. But then they wanted to release the Power Laces one after, and I was like, thanks guys, you didn't even give me 10 years to save.
Nope. You had to sell more blood. Sell some blood, it'll be fine.
So it was this piece here, the letters. They when I first started collecting the Back to the Future products, my heart was set on this letter that Marty McFly wrote at the end of Back to the Future 1 to let Doc Brown know about what was going to happen. And I don't know why that scene resonated with me so much, because he was willing to disrupt the space-time continuum to save his pal.
Yeah.
And that letter stuck with me really. I don't know, it just resonated with me. Just to let people know how you feel in that moment is very hard. But if you could write it down and give it to them, then at least you have a bit of a peace of mind that you've got to give a piece of yourself at that time. And it's really stuck with me. So I kind of did a collage poster with the letter on there. And again, the poster was given to me back in the late 90s. So I think 97, 98.
Okay.
And, you know, actually, me and my brothers didn't have to share a room. And I went to the poster shop and I ran into the comic book stores. Please tell me you have a Back to the Future poster, because I need one in my room. I finally have my own room. I don't share with my brothers anymore. So yeah, that was I've still got that, and I love it to bits. That's another piece that's quite close to me.
So now that letter, is that a replica letter? I mean, or
that's a replica letter.
Okay, just wanted to clarify that before someone tries to break into your house and take the actual letter.
No. Good luck. You guys can try. I've got like lightsabers here, so yeah.
That'll be on another episode of On the Shelf, the series. That's coming to episode 15. Who knows?
But yeah, no. So a couple of years ago, they did do an auction where they got rid of a lot of Back to the Future stuff, and like, yeah, they break the bank. So I have to pick and choose now. Now that I have a little girl, I have to be really cautious on what I get.
It's true.
And I have to I need to get a signed permission as well.
Yeah, it's always the permission slip is important now. Is there like a retinal scan on your bank account when it comes to this stuff?
Yes, there is. Yeah, it is.
Bro, I'm
not ashamed
I got
of
the
it.
super. Listen, it's fine. Listen, I got the Superman stuff because I get people send me links to auction houses all the time about capes, suits, props. I have one for license plates from Superman the movie, and Superman 3, and like, I mean, dude, it's $5,000 on a license plate. Again, I would love to spend that kind of money, but I'd rather spend $5,000 in tattoos.
Yeah, no, of course. See, that's totally understandable. And there was, I think, when I got the Nike mags, that was a hard graft. The money went to charity.
Yes,
so everything that went to Michael J. Fox Parkinson research. It was $5,000 that I could say this is money going to people that suffer. Yeah, and they're trying to help out. And knowing that, Muhammad Ali, Michael J. Fox, all suffered or are all suffering Parkinson's at the moment, but he's been doing great in recovery. I thought it was for a good cause, and I'm a big fan of charity. I've done a lot of runs, and I do a lot of work for charity, so I'm always big for that. And it was so worth it. I mean, when I look at those things, when I go to the storage unit, the person who works there, they are like, "You're back to look at them again," and I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to spend half an hour with them." They deserve that half an hour.
Of course they do. Listen, you got to. Those are like your collection babies. You got to come visit. You got to go visit them. You got to make sure that they're okay. There's no issues at the storage facility. Everything is, I get it. Totally get it, bro.
Exactly that. Yeah.
So, have you ever thought about getting like Eric Stoltz's autograph?
I've tried, a few times. I mean, he's come to probably one or two cons doing other movies, but I haven't had the chance to actually. I was hoping that they haven't said anything yet, but for this 35th anniversary Blu-ray, the 4K Blu-ray they're bringing out, they say there is some unseen footage, and I'm hoping, because he filmed a good 6 weeks of that movie, 25% of that movie he's been in, and they use some of those cuts in the actual film. Yep. So I'd love to see that on the Blu-ray, I hope, but I think Bob Gale, when I did ask him, he was like, they're just going to hold that for the moment. And I think they'll do that when it comes to like probably the 40th, which is a bigger number and a bigger celebration. But yeah, no, if he is at another con, I'd love to get a signature from him, definitely. He did his part in that movie. Crispin Glover as well. I'd like to meet him as well, because I've met... what's his name? It's gone. Who played part 2 and part 3? Who played George McFly? That's gone right out of my head. but there was another actor that played him and wore a face mask, and there was a big lawsuit because of that.
I'm going to put it. It's literally in when you watch the video on YouTube. It's going to literally be right here. The name.
Perfect. Perfect. I'm gonna get that name. I'm gonna give that to you. But Crispin Glover, I'd like to meet him because he's done a fair good amount of movies, and
yeah,
he's had some history with this movie, and he hasn't been there along the journey with the rest of the guys. I think he played a great part as George McFly.
Mm-hmm.
He played a crucial part in that movie as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one guy that definitely he's on my list to meet as well. So, and Robert Zemeckis himself as well. Definitely, I've got to meet him. Definitely.
I think it'll happen. He's done. Oh my God, he's done everything.
Oh, he has. So has he's done everything. Yes, but yeah, that's next on my list. If they do shows and if the musical comes back again in London, then I'm hoping for that as well. Definitely.
I hope next year we start to see more of a semblance of some sort of normalcy. 2021. Hopefully, I hope things get back to normal. So let me ask you, of the 3 movies of the trilogy, I people always have, it's like the Superman trilogy, Lord of the Rings trilogy, 1,000 other trilogies, Star Wars. Which is your favorite? And then which is your least favorite?
Such a hard, you can't do that to me.
I can. I just did.
All right, so not many people actually ever like this answer. I love all of them.
Okay.
I love all of them. But if I have to pick, it's going to be the first movie.
Of course.
And my least favorite is the third.
It's okay.
But I love the trilogy as one. Definitely.
No,
that's the main thing.
It's fine because even like, and again, I'm going to reference it because I hate Superman. It's the others, the sequels like 3 and 4. They have their strong points. They have their strong, scenes or whatever. So, it doesn't. People always think, well, you're not a true fan if you don't like everything that they've ever put out. Well, that's not necessarily true. You can like how awesome the train was. Spoiler for anyone who hasn't seen Back to the Future 3. the train at the end. That the train is all of a sudden now they put the hover capacity, into it and modernized it. That was awesome. Like that right at the end, and now you're like, crap, I wish there was a Back to the Future 4.
No, definitely. And I think when I spoke to Bob about number 4, he was like, it'll never happen.
Never going to happen.
Doesn't matter how much money the studio throws at me, it's not going to happen. But what he did do is explain more of that in the Back to the Future comics. Now, Bob Gale is a writer on half of the series of the comic books that came out with IDW. Okay. And it actually gives you the backstory of the time-traveling locomotive.
Really?
Yeah, and it's outstanding that he's been able to expand on the Back to the Future universe in the comic books.
Right.
And like we had something amazing drop this year as well with the Transformers DeLorean as well.
Yep.
And the comic book series, which is just, it's mind-blowing that they can, I'm so happy that they could make, from what it was to what it is now, to still grow this fandom and still do it in different formats and mediums. You don't have to bring out a movie. You could do animation, you could bring out comic books, you could bring out storybooks.
Like Back to the Future, the cartoon series.
Yes, that's right. Yep. Which is another one that I still love to bits. And
it's great. When you could find it, not on bootleg on YouTube or something. It's great. That was like when they did Bill and Ted. Remember they did Bill and Ted the cartoon?
Absolutely loved that.
And
I still love it.
And they voiced and Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter actually voiced Bill and Ted because they were just two dudes and
that's it. Yeah.
No one gave a crap. So they and George Carlin was Rufus, and it was just it was awesome.
Brilliant. So good. Yeah, definitely. So I was happy that they did that as well. I think expanding universes, they were doing it from back then when they did the animations for the cartoon.
Right. So
to see it grow even more, it's just, we live in good times, man. I'm telling you, like I didn't think that, when I came to, I'm not going to expose my age, but I was like, oh man, I'm still in love with this stuff. And people are like, Kibbs, like I adore the fact that you still have these things in your life that gives you joy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know. People will see it in different lights, but for me, it keeps me young. Definitely keeps me young.
I'm older than you, and I'll say my age. I am 41 years old, and clearly, age has not stopped me for any sort of, You know, the only thing stopping me is, but that's a whole different story. So, so, Kibbs, let me ask you: if you did have, in fact, a fully functioning DeLorean with a Mr. Fusion to fuel your journeys back or forwards into time, what would be that grail item, that piece that you have wanted to, which would be like the crown jewel of your collection? What do you think?
So I did want the DeLorean. That is one of my holy grails, and that's something I'm working towards.
Okay, fantastic.
I travel to go back in time to. Actually, so this is something I don't know. I think this is why I got into time travel a bit more, because of this movie.
Okay.
I love the concept. I love the fact that, you know, it made it possible in a film and to open up my imagination about it. But it was to go back and see my granddad at the time of the Second World War in Burma, and he received a medal for bravery, for saving some sergeants, and I would have loved to see him at that moment, because for us as our family, it's a proud moment for us.
Yeah.
But this item, when he retired from the UK and went back to Bangladesh,
yeah,
the item got stolen, and it's the item that that's my holy grail item, is to try and receive. Like, I've been speaking to the government at the moment now to try and pay for it and get another one made up for him again, just in his honor.
Yeah.
Which is a process, but I would have loved to seen that at the moment when he received that, and how proud he was, and what he did for the UK as well. It's a big. I think going into war and battle is a whole different courage that you need to have in your bloodstream. That's a different type of warrior blood that you need, and like, I see that in my father. I see that in my younger brothers. One of my younger brothers, he's a UFC fighter, like an amateur UFC fighter. So I can see that warrior blood in him. He always reminds me of my granddad. So that's my piece. It'd be to get that medal from back in time. Yeah.
You know, I got to be honest with you, Kibbs. That's not even the way I usually go with that answer. But
yeah.
And no offense to the other ones, including myself, who have given that answer before. But I got to say, bro, that's probably the best answer that I've gotten yet on the show with regards to not only why the DeLorean would be your piece, but then as to if it was functioning, what you would do with it. So, kudos to you, bro. That was a that was a really good answer. I'm not gonna freaking lie, and I can guarantee the people who are watching this, there's gonna be like 6 people who are like, who are gonna message me and be like, yeah, that was his answer was the best answer you've had so far, and I'm gonna tell you that. And after the show, when we air the show, I'm gonna be like, you'll see.
Thanks, bro.
You got it.
Honestly,
listen,
it's one of my moments.
That's fantastic.
One of my moments.
Love it. Great answer. So now the big question. The question which I have now asked 8 people, including myself. If you were only allowed one shelf in your house, big shelf, little shelf, it's a theoretical shelf, so it doesn't matter, what would be the 3 items from your collection, which spans multi-genres and companies? What would be? It doesn't even have to be Back to the Future now. We can be if you'd like, but what would be the 3 items on that shelf?
Okay, so it's going to be. I've got a Mr. Fusion from. It's basically a replica that I can't remember.
I'm sure it's a replica.
It's a replica, yeah, of course, but it was a company that bought it out after the 30th anniversary.
Okay.
So that was one of the pieces. It's actually a beautiful piece.
Okay.
Because it's the exact same size, life size.
The 1-to-1 ratio, yeah.
It's just weird because when my wife saw it, she was like, "What are you going to do with that blender?" And I was like, "Oh my god, no, you can't be calling it a blender."
No,
it's fusion.
It's all right. She doesn't.
You're lucky I'm not using plutonium in the house.
You can get it on Amazon. I believe you could find plutonium on Amazon.
I'll have to check that out. Definitely, I'm going to keep that. On my list. So it's the Mr. Fusion. The flux capacitor that they brought out on the 30th anniversary as well, which is absolutely amazing. It lights up and it just looks glorious. You can stare at it for hours and travel in time as well. So that's one piece. And the last piece is going to be a bit away from the Back to the Future stuff, but
okay.
it's it's something that my wife got me. It's the Iron Man arc reactor. It's from the first Iron Man movie, so she had it personalized to say Kibla Ahmed has a heart.
Like in when it said what proof that Tony Stark has a heart. That
That's the
same
one.
kind of.
Exactly the same, yeah. So
Yeah.
she got that for me. That was before I proposed, and yeah, that's right, yeah.
That's
So she
awesome.
got me that piece, which is absolutely amazing. It lights up. It's my favorite thing. It's the thing that's like I look at every day. Reminds me that yes, I do have a heart.
That's
Yeah.
dude. That's a good piece. We'll have to intersplice that into this feed, so folks can take
Yes,
a look at
definitely.
it. We will. That will be one of the many pictures you'll have to send me when.
Oh yes, of course, of course. I've got some work for you, dude. Sorry.
No, not at all. Listen, this is not work to me, and you've seen the show, a bunch of the episodes. In fact, I think you've seen all my episodes so far.
Yes, I have.
This is not a. This is not work. This is fun. I like talking to people. I like talking to anybody who wants to talk about their collection. I love the answers that people give with regards to everything. So
No, that's great.
bring on the work.
Oh yes, definitely. No, I will do. I will do. No, awesome. Absolutely awesome.
Kibla, I want to thank you for coming today, sharing everything, sharing your stories with us. It's been great. I appreciate it. I know that the folks out there appreciate it. If anyone wants to follow Kibla's work, we're going to post his Instagram tag, and maybe leave a throw in. Maybe if he'd be so kind, he could even do a little sketch for us that we could, a Back to the Future sketch for us that we could put at the end of the show.
Yep, I'll get that sorted for you, dude.
Right? I figured. Not so bad.
Definitely get that sorted.
And ladies and gentlemen, thank you again. If you haven't done so already, please, I point to it every freaking show. Subscribe. It's right down there. I would really appreciate. See, look, even Kibla did it. And I appreciate that. Lots of appreciation on this show because, again, without you folks watching, and people such as Kibla coming on, this wouldn't. It would just be me talking in front of a camera. No one really wants to see that for week in and week out. Trust me. Everyone, have a great day. Have a great week. And I'm going to be skipping a week because of DC fandom coming up. But the next guest is going to be a certain The Geek of Steel. Let's just leave it at that. I don't know who that is, but because I didn't say his full name, now I owe the dude £3. So, folks, be good.